The golden days when I was a little girl,
When you were a little girl.
like you are a little boy, and well, fire away, and I'll answer you best I can. I've lived a long time.
I don't know. So how did you communicate? How did you communicate?
Well, we most lived the mail, and it took days to get it, and I had to walk a mile to get to the mailbox to send a letter to anybody, and then you have to wait for an answer and walk every day to see if you got an answer. So it wasn't like pick up your telephone nowadays or click on your iPad or your computer and talk with somebody and text them, and it just it's like being with somebody. Or now I'm used to it would take a week or longer to communicate with anybody.
Ask her, say, what about technology?
What about technology?
Technology. By that you mean like computers and machinery and...
Yes, ma'am.
Say, what was a new technology?
What was a new technology
that you had?
Just about everything. Let's see. The first time we used the telephone was my daddy's, the man that he worked for on the big peach orchards and was a big peach farmer, and he had them run a telephone line to his office, and it was about a mile from where we lived, and we could go up there to where he had his office and use the telephone. But it's like you see sometime on Andy Griffith, you had to ring it, and an operator answered you, and you gave him a number. Does he ever watch Andy Griffith, Elizabeth?
Yes, you've watched Barney and Andy with me before, and Opie.
Has he ever seen them where they ring the phone and the operator answers? Well, that's what it used to be like. You had to ring the phone, and the operator would say, "Number, please," and you gave them the telephone number. And usually it was only a matter of 3 or 4 numbers. Not a long list of numbers like you have to use now if you're using the phone.
So what kind of chores did you have at home?
What kind of chores did you have at home?
Well, we did not have running water. I carried buckets of water, and I had to sweep the floors, and I never did mop. My mother did the mopping, but I swept the floors. I had to make up the beds, and we had to wash by hand. We had a great big, they called it a wash tub, a great big tin tub, and my mother would do the washing and hang it on a clothesline outside, and when they dry, I would help her bring them in, the smaller pieces. She'd have to handle the sheets and all, and that my daddy's big work clothes and all, but I could get the smaller stuff and bring them in and help fold it. But we dried clothes on a line outside. We didn't have dryers. That's another technology we didn't have washing machines. We didn't have dryers.
So what was your community like?
What was your community like?
Well, it wasn't exactly a community. You've been to Marston. You know what it's like. But I lived about, I guess, 2 miles from Marston, and we went up there to the store. There was a country store there, and we got milk and bread, and a loaf of bread was 5 cents. And milk was very cheap. I don't remember exactly what, but we didn't have to buy milk until later till we were about grown up, because my mother had a cow and milked the cow every day. So we had fresh milk from the cow.
Say, what about your toys?
What about your toys?
Well, we would get an old worn-out tire And if you were small enough, you got into it and had somebody push you, and you'd roll and roll and roll.
Oh, Mommy, that's like the show we watched.
That's like the Kill a Mockingbird. Yep, that's like
That's exactly right. I thought about that when I was watching that.
one day.
We used to do that, and we used to get a little metal, round piece of metal like a hubcap, and then we would take a coat hanger and stretch it out and make a little hook in the end of it that would fit that. And if you get it started, you could push it along and roll. We had to make our toys. We had to make things to play with, and we didn't have bought toys like there wasn't a Walmart or places like that. We had grocery stores and hardware stores where you went to buy things when something broke down. You need something from the hardware store to fix it. And
I say, what about school?
What about school?
Oh, I love school. I started the school when I was I 5 or 4?
5. Oh,
and it was real school. I mean, it wasn't preschool or anything.
5.
Yeah, you have to be 5. But my might have started when she was 4.
Well, Mother's sister Margie came to stay with us, and she wanted to put me in school. Margie would have been in the 7th grade, and she wanted me to start the school. We went to that big school that was across from Newton's down there, Peachland.
Mhm.
She wanted to start me so Margie could look after me, sort of. And so I started real early. That's why I finished so early.
When did you finish?
When I was 15. Well, I was 15 when I finished, and I went that summer to see Aunt Belle, and I got a job in the Navy Yard.
Right after you got out of school?
It was during the war, and they needed help. And my Aunt Belle told me go down there and see if I could get a job. She lived within 2 blocks of the Navy Yard office, and I went down there, and they wouldn't hire me because I was just 15. So I went back home, but they got my phone number and all, and a couple of days later they called me, and they needed somebody in the office, so they said they would make arrangements, so they hired me when I was 15.
Project. I picked my mema. She is 98 years old. She likes to play baseball with me and basketball with me.
Say she's my mom.
She's my mom's grandma.